what is the difference between narcissism and other personality disorders? Are narcissists, are they made that way, or are they born that way? So narcissists, number one, narcissist, they are made, they're not born. Let me correct that a little bit. For someone to be narcissistic, all right, narcissistic, they are typically ones that have between 3 and 5 of the 9 character traits that we talked about. But nonetheless, to be narcissistic, that you're made that way, you're not born that way. Not necessarily. Now, we can get into a theological discussion concerning the fallen nature of man. Every person in the world being born with foolishness bound in his heart. And I can understand that. But for our study, that's all a part of the thinking process. Still, there is a developmental, cultural, contextual, carrying style that is placed into a person that makes them 3 to 5 at least character traits narcissistic. Someone who's narcissistic expresses both guilt and shame. Okay, so guilt is more of the idea that it's seated in the conscience of a person, regardless of how if anyone else knows or if anyone else agrees, their conscience brings them sorrow. But they also have shame. Shame is the fear or the expression of sorrow that people have based on how other people perceive what just happened. So one is based in the perceptions of people, that's shame. The other is based in the knowledge of one's conscience. The word conscience, Latin word I understand, made up of 2 words. Con means with, and knowledge, conscience, with knowledge. So it's the knowledge of the heart that we naturally, innately have that convicts us. So narcissistic, someone who's 3 to 5 of the character traits that we mentioned. Okay, number 2, someone who has narcissist personality disorder, NPD. I hesitate to call it a disorder, though that's the technical term for it, because a disorder has the concept that there is an order that is commonly accepted among all people. There is an order, and then this is a disorder that goes against that order. So that's a little bit tricky. I don't want to be overly technical in this. Let's just call it someone who can be labeled, not diagnosed, labeled an NPD. I say it that way because someone mentioned this who's an expert in the field of personality disorders. You can't diagnose someone with a personality disorder. Why? Because a doctor can diagnose, because he can not just look at the symptoms, he can cut you open or exploratory surgery or something and visually look and see this is cancer, this is whatever, and then diagnose it based on hard, evidential, unmistakable facts. That's a diagnosis. But a label is something that is discerned through much research and comparison, contrasting. And so more so narcissistic personality label instead of narcissistic personality disorder. For our sake, we're just going to say NPD. So where someone who's narcissistic is made, not born, 3 to 5 character traits, expresses both guilt and shame. Someone who is NPD also is made, not born. He has all 9 of these traits that cut cross-sectionally throughout all areas of life. And he expresses shame, listen, not guilt. Now, we know, again, theologically, we can turn to Paul's argument in Romans, where he says that those who are without God hold the truth or suppress the truth in ungodliness. And so they do have guilt. So we can say that it's suppressed guilt. They don't express outwardly sorrow based on guilt. Their conscience has been seared. You understand the searing effects of, like, when you take a piece of raw meat like a steak and you set it down on a hot grill, turn it over, you have seared the outside to hold the juices on the inside, and so the outside is seared. And so we can say that an NPD expresses shame, sorrow because of how other people perceive them, but they don't express guilt. Okay, so number 3, sociopath. Sociopath is made, not born. Of course, he has all 9 traits of an NPD cross-sectionally. He has no shame. He has no guilt. Doesn't care about what other people think. Doesn't care about his own conscience. He can learn cultural control of his behavior to get what he wants, where normally in life people rely on their shame. Oh, I did that and look how he responded to that. Oh, can't keep doing that. Or guilt. Oh man, that's just wrong. I got to stop doing that and change their behavior. Listen, sociopath doesn't feel that. Feels no shame, feels no guilt, but he can learn cultural control to get what he wants, but not based on fear, not based on sorrow. Number 4, there's the psychopath. Psychopath, now listen, he's born, he's not made. He's born that way. He has 9 traits cross-sectionally, no shame, no guilt, and he can also learn cultural control to get what he wants, although many times there's no reason to. So very interesting. We could talk more about that. What is the theological ramifications on those who are made into those things rather than those who are born that way? We're not going to get into that in this lesson. Please feel free to write in the section in the comments, or write me an email, whatever, gffdirector@comcast.net. Be glad to talk to you more about that. Love to hear your opinions. So let's get a breakdown here real quick. Narcissistic. They are made usually through overindulging and underindulging by those with the greatest influence in their life. Overindulging could be abundant praise for performance and achievement without relationship building, without problem solving, or expression of secure and confident love based on anything other than their performance. So he's known for being unloving and unfeeling, though he can on occasion appreciate the gravity of some effects of people as a result of their or other people's actions. So that's narcissistic. What about NPD? Does not feel empathy, does not feel love, affection, remorse towards others, except superficially for show. Again, to get what he wants. When he's confronted with actual reality, which he cannot escape, he will not strive to become a better person. He will strive to become a better narcissist. Now listen, every sociopath and psychopath is a narcissist, but not every narcissist is a sociopath or psychopath. So sociopath, these have learned behavior through prolonged, compromised living arrangements or negative life experiences. Trained in advanced military operations as assassins, undercover agents, etc. Living under another sociopath, or exposure to deliberate or undeliberate training, which hardens their heart, conscience, feelings. These feelings are unrecoverable in that there is a neurological switch or damage which takes place. Typically, they cannot make decisions based on remorse or regret, and they cannot feel. All right, number 4, psychopaths. These are born with the neurological personality disorder characterized by persistent antisocial behavior, impaired empathy and remorse, along with bold, disinhibited, and egotistical traits. So that we're gonna stop there for this lesson.